Yes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's the fifth and the final day of EduWiki Week. We had an amazing time throughout this week by learning so much from our community members and other partners and allies during the entire week. We will be uploading all the videos to Commons and to our event page on MetaWiki starting next week. I also want to acknowledge that some of our community members are facing huge challenges and couldn't be part of this event. There were some asynchronous activities being planned in Ukraine, and we know the challenging time that our community in Ukraine are facing. So uh, let's support and show that solidarity to our community members as well. But today we have Galder with us. Galder is an amazing Wikimedian and a person from amazing Wikimedian person and a friend from Basque community, and he contributes to Basque. He's a member of Basque Wikimedians user group. Galder, maybe like you introduce yourself better than me. Yeah.
Thanks, Ailes. Nice to meet you again. I hope to meet you in person let's hope some months or right here. So I'm Galder Gonzalez. I'm from the Basque Wikimedians user group. I have been working, I have been a Wikimedian for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. But yes, I have been quite active in the Basque Wikipedia. And in the last years, I have been working mostly in our education program. Actually, it's wider in the scope than the education program. So somehow I'm the program manager at the Wikimedians user group. And yes, that's it. I studied geology, but I'm not a geologist. I'm a Wikimedian now. So yes, that will be my presentation.
Thanks, Galder. Colors, your proposal was one of the like most appreciated proposal from the organizing committee. We were like looking into the 5 years of education program as well as Wikipedia. Do you want to share with us like what has been your experience working with the community and working with students and developing this program in the last 5 years?
Yeah, so let's start like how we started with this program, because it's quite special, and not everyone has the same background to make it. Here in the Basque Country, there is the Basque government, and the Basque government has a section or a direction for language policy. So they normally help with money. They give grants for projects that are focused on language recovery and language creation things in Basque language. So when we started with the Basque Wikimedians user group, we have a meeting with them, and they were quite interested in having things in Wikipedia, especially thinking that most students actually use Wikipedia every day. The government is aware that Wikipedia is used. There is quite discussion in governments like, okay, but the students shouldn't be copying Wikipedia. Yes, that's right. But actually they are doing, and they are going to other languages. So the idea here was, can we create something so students will be able to find what they need in Basque language? So we proposed a program that will be trying to find the main articles, the main things that the students will be looking for when they are at high school. And let's try to make these articles as better as we can, these articles and these topics, as better as we can with university students. So the main idea is that university students are writing their assignments in topics that are quite basic in their science. This is different, for example, like how EduWiki works in English, where they have to always improve in something really new. Because here, most of the times, there's translations and making things like really, really basic. But university students are creating content for high school students. And well, we have been like 5 years. We have been with around 30,000 students, something like that, in around 200 classrooms. And they have written 7 million words. That is maybe not too much if you compare in other Wikipedias, but it represents like 12-13% of the Basque Wikipedia. So yes, for us is a lot. For people who is working in minority languages, this is a lot of content and a lot of things done. I said you 200, but I wasn't sure. It's 4,000 students, around 4,000 in the university. So that's like our main program. We have 5 years working on that, and some topics, mainly science topics, physics, biology, chemistry, are quite well covered. We have good quality articles on that for high school students. Maybe not if you are going to make your PhD, but we have covered all the basic issues there. So that will be our first, I think our main program and the project we have been working on.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see like how we as a movement is like a mission-driven movement, seeing that anyone can create knowledge. And you mentioned like how students in universities are creating knowledge for students who are in high school to access them, to learn from them. Is there like, do you also have like programs where students so how do you engage with students in high schools? Do they only read articles? So do they have like assignments to read articles, to see the citations, to see like where the information comes from, like with the like critical thinking ways? Or do they also contribute to Wikipedia as well?
In high schools specifically, or in university?
Because in secondary school, sorry, in secondary school.
Secondary schools, well, in secondary schools, we have the second part, that is that we have created children's Wikipedia, so they can contribute also. We don't make a lot of things like reading Wikipedia. We have tried, and when we make, when we are, sometimes we make formation we give formation for teachers. And we try to make this like, let's read critically and let's discuss Wikipedia, but I don't know if it's something that is being actually done. Not with us. Maybe they are doing it because teachers like to do it, but not in an organized way. But as I said, 4 years ago, we created the first encyclopedia for children inside Wikipedia that is called Chiquipedia. Chiqui means small in Basque. So it's an encyclopedia focused on children. And some of the articles are being done by adults, but there is a big bunch of articles that are being done by high school and secondary school students for primary school students. It will be like university students are writing for secondary schools are writing Wikipedia for primary school students, and also university students from teachers degree are also writing in Wikipedia for small students. So we are like, we like to call the ecosystem, it's quite the word, but it's like everyone is trying to write for a smaller one. The problem with high schools is how to engage with them, because in university it's relatively easy because you can convince a professor in the university and then you have an assignment and that's it. But in schools it's quite more difficult. So this year, for example, we're running 2 different projects with high schools. One is focused on women who has won a medal in Olympics. So this will be like, okay, it's people are all around the world and women, and they are sport people. And the other one is about local flora, like they have to write about plants that are near their school. And this we have made with a up to down way, like convincing different stakeholders, and then we have we have made some video tutorials, and we have been with teachers, and we will have, if I'm not wrong, 110 schools participating this year in this. We will write about women that will be soon finished, who will write also about plants. But I think that this is a way also to engage high schools. And they will write in Wikipedia.
Wow, that's exciting. I see the pattern, like how you're saying that one generation of students are creating knowledge for other generations. So it's like passing on to, like, the information is getting like passing on to the other generations as well. That's very exciting, Galder. Galder, I just have like a question around how do you engage with teachers? Do you approach them, or they approach you, or is it like you run a program for a certain while, and when they find the success of the program, they continue with it, or how do you usually do it?
Okay, so for university professors, is normally it's door to door. I mean, we knock in their door, we explain the process, and we have them like 1 year and the other one doing the same project. So for some of them, we have been quite along working, and we have also been in the schools. And normally there is more knowing the professors, and they can recommend, like, this other one is also interested in this. And sometimes we directly write an email like, I want to do this in your subject because we have a lack of knowledge there. For high schools, it's more difficult because it's way more difficult to go to a high school and just knock a door. So we have been with some teachers that are interested somehow, and they have approached us first. But now we are doing with 2 different institutions. One of them is an institution that is responsible for pedagogical innovation at the schools. So they have sent directly emails like proposing to be part of us. And the other one, the one about plants, for example, is there is like I don't know if an institute or some kind, yes, also of institution, who is working on environmental issues with schools, like formation for environment and the goals of the millennium, and now the 2030 agenda, these kind of things. So with them, it was like directly proposing to the heads of this a project about the environment. And so they have gone to schools, they have sent, and we have made formation with them. Also, we have made some video tutorials that are available, and we send them. We have made some brochures that I don't think they are quite interesting for them, because you have to read, and they have lots of things to do. And normally also we give them like some advices, or sometimes like this online, like 30 teachers are here, we explain, and we give them an email, like only to, if they have problems. Normally they have problems, like their IP is blocked, they don't know how to make a lot of things. They are in the sandbox and they don't know how to publish and kind of things. So normally are always the same issues, and we help them with them. And also we have made some online videos that we give them, like you have here the basics, and if you can do with this, then I can go there and help you. We are in a small country, so it's possible actually go to the place. This is something that is not possible in India. Like, okay, I'm going to visit you tomorrow, but here, I mean, in 1 hour I can be in their school. So if there is some issue that we can help on, we try also this approach.
Understand. So does your team like try to train teachers first, and then the teachers run the program on their own, or is it like every time you try to be there when the program is happening in the school, or the trainings are happening in the school?
For universities, we train students. For some practical reasons, it's easier to go to as the professor, like, we will take 1 hour and a half for your class, and we will explain there directly, and we will talk to them, and so they will make their assignment. There are some professors who are also working with us in making some rubrics for their students, and then they get trained and finally they do it. But after 3-4 years, they will be, I don't know, saying able to do it or wanting to do it. will have some interest in it. For high schools, it's more difficult because there are a lot more high schools than universities. So there, our main approach is training teachers. Sometimes we also go to schools to train students, but we do more in a basis about more. It's more like a conference about how Wikipedia works, and not something technical like going to have them. This is something that is more difficult with high school because you have to be repeating and going like 3 or 4 times, so it's easier for teachers to do it. We have been doing both, but we prefer training teachers because it's like you train once and they can do it every year if they want. And then for primary schools, when we go to primary school, we actually go to with children 7, 8 years to make Wikipedia projects, and they are great. They are better than university students sometimes doing articles. There we again prefer being with them because for them it's something really exciting. Like someone is coming and they are going to talk about something that is in the computers. They don't even know what is an encyclopedia. And then they grab it, they take some photos, and we upload it. We help them. They don't need to create an account, so we help them, and then they go really happy to their parents to say like, "Oh, we have been doing something, and it's there." So for primary school students, it's interesting to be with them, but because there are not a lot of schools trying to do this. If there were a lot, I would also train teachers. That is actually more economical.
Thanks, Galder. Yeah, that's very interesting to see your approach on like how you do it, and I see like how you like training students is much more easier, like to create a how you say like an environment when they're learning, they can learn together and and contribute to Wikipedia as well. I remember reading your proposal, Galder, and you shared a lot of things with us. How did you get started? Like you mentioned, like you started from scratch. How does this idea of running? I know, like you mentioned, you applied for the grant from the government, and the proposal got accepted, and you started working on it. So, but how the idea started within the community on working in this education program or starting education program in the Basque region?
So 1 year before we started with this program, there was San Sebastian here in Austria was the European capital city of culture. It's something that Europe makes like two cities every year. And so they have some ideas to do things with Wikipedia, and they approached with a couple of Wikimedians that were working in the cultural institution of the city hall, and they tried to make something with the university that was successful because there was, I don't know, there was appetite for doing things in the city with institutions. So we did this with the university and was successful. So when the government approached us that they wanted something to boost their Wikipedia, we had like I don't know 2-3 hours discussion with them, like, okay, but what kind of things? And then we saw that they were really interested in having content for high school. I mean, we helped them to say, okay, we need things for high school, and they were also they have heard something, I think, about the project with the university, or maybe we told them that we have done this. So it was like pretty clear when we were out of the meeting that this was something that we should explore. So we made a proposal that will be like, okay, let's have 1,000 quality articles for students. And they liked it, and then we had to refine and how to do the list and these kind of things. But this wasn't the most difficult part because the government actually wanted to fund something on Wikipedia with a student. So it was not difficult to figure out. Also, we knew that there were other projects with Wikipedia and education worldwide. So we knew that there was a Wikiedu Foundation that was doing things and they had material. So it wasn't difficult for them to see it and for us to, I mean, it's not something actually completely new. It's something that is being done. And this is something that they are doing in the United States and the best universities in Germany. And so it's like, okay, then we also want it because it's something that is done in other places. So that's not the most difficult part. We then had to make a list of, at first it was 1,000 and 2,000 articles that are relevant to high school. And this was really a difficult part because we had to figure out how the curriculum is made, what things are really important and what is not, what things are written in the curriculum, something that is, all students need to do this, but actually never happens. Like actually no teacher is going to teach that. So we have to make a comprehensive list. And I remember one advisor from this pedagogical institution that said me, if you want to make a list of exactly 1,000 things, it will take time. If you want to make a list of around 1,000 things, it's relatively easy. But exactly 1,000, what gets out and what gets in is not so easy. So finally, you see, we want to do 1,000, it's 2,000 because it was difficult to get things out. And then the next thing we did is present this project to the university, main university director, president, I don't know, rector is the word here. And they liked it. And so we went top to bottom, like first with departments, then with individual professors. And we started, and in the first year, we had some kamikazes doing this, like some professors say, I'm going to do this, very few. And most of the others was like, okay, some other has been doing it and it worked. So this year I'm going to start. But actually, every year we have to start again. We have to knock doors again. We are doing this again. Let's talk. If there are new topics that we can cover with you and this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting journey. And in the last 5 years, you have made this big program very successful with like every approach that you have taken. Well, you mentioned a bit about like how you had to create a list of topics before getting started. Those topics, were they related to like school curriculum, or was it like more in general of that?
No, there are articles related to the school curriculum. This is important because we wanted to show that we are doing this for something. It's not like some random list of objects. It's something we are doing because high school students need content in their language. So this approach was really useful when we went to the university professors. Like, okay, understand what you are doing. It's not random. It's okay. There is a list. The problem with this curriculum is that it's not always easy to find what things are really done in the schools. And sometimes it's like something desiderata. You have, okay, there are things that are here that may be interesting for students, but not always are these applied also in textbooks and this kind of thing. So the first approach was this, and then we talked to university professors, some experts in there, and we saw that like, okay, this will be like the 100 most important things in biology. And then they say, okay, yes, these are important, but this and this and these are missing, or this is not really, it's difficult to develop something with this, and it's something that is tangential to education. So we refine it, and we are constantly refining it. For example, this year we had like, there is a section of current world affairs. That is something like students need current world affairs. So evidently COVID-19 entered, and you have to take something out. And you take something like, for example, that is a war that finished 20 years ago. That is not a current affair, but it's in the curriculum. So we are constantly refining things that, okay, this also may be interesting for students and trying. But that's the basic list, because when we go to talk to professors, normally we make a more advanced list with them, because I mean, if you go to a professor that is giving, I don't know, biochemistry 2 in the university, and you say, no, I only want to make an article about proteins, and we'll say, okay, this is, I can't do this because I have 40 students and they have, everyone has to do something. So we try to find also some other articles, some other issues that are not very specific and can be interesting for a broader public, or maybe first year university students, not related to secondary students, or things that may be in the news that, I don't know, for example, we have this year some students writing about how to detect viruses and these kind of things. And are things that, well, the public can be interested in. So the approach is not, we have a list, but we are not only making the list. And this, I think this is a good advice I can give to everyone. Don't close your doors. If someone says, okay, I'm interested, but I don't like that list, it's okay, let's pick another one, because we can write about lots of things here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked this question because I think like two years back, when my team was working with the Reading Wikipedia project, and we were doing pilot programs in the Philippines, Morocco, and Bolivia. So we tried to look for, like lists, like the topics that were part of curriculum in these countries. And it was very difficult to access that list, like what are the topics, taught in these countries, and are they on Wikipedia? How the quality of those content in there? So that problem statement kind of like helped us to build, like explore more opportunity to see like how curriculum, like the school curriculum could be digitized on Wikidata. Is there a potential of doing that? We just do a Wikidata query and find a list of articles that are like list of things that are part of school curriculum. Is it easy to do it? Is it a good thing to explore? So we're trying to work on it. Yeah. So
I don't think that is so straightforward to having Wikidata, because what is written down in a curriculum is not actually what is being taught. What we did is the hard approach. Is like, okay, let's see if it exists. It exists and it's in a PDF and it has 1,000 pages. Okay, let's read it. Then you realize that there is a long part with justifications, and then there is a list of things. So let's focus on the list of things that is always in the same section in every subsection, and we write them, like what topics are there, and some of them may be an article, and some of them maybe they are not an article. Maybe they are skills or some other things that are not relevant to Wikipedia. One easy way to find out this will be simply reading the textbook of the students. You take the textbook, and in every page you have something. So it's like, okay, this topic is, I don't know, history of the Philippines, and then you have this, and these issues. These are here always in this textbook. So this will be the list. We also try another approach, that is, this list of 1,000 articles that every Wikipedia should have, and there is also 10,000 articles that every Wikipedia should have. This is quite interesting approach. It's quite Eurocentric, but well, that's another discussion. But the problem there is that these are interesting topics for an encyclopedia, but not for students, because you have some things like, okay, I don't know, the psychology, like 30 emotions. It's okay, but this is not something that they are going to read in school. So I think a good approach there will be just, if you don't have the curriculum that usually is really large, usually it's a very technical document, it will be just trying to buy the books they use, or going to the school and seeing them and trying to figure out. This is something, for example, we have been making with Wikipedia, like seeing what items they have in the book. And so, okay, I have to write about the hurt because they have a section.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we are also like trying to like see this as an experiment. We are trying to run a pilot project in Ghana and see how it's working. So there'll be like more stories from that project soon. But circling back to our discussion, Galder, I know like we are almost at time, Galder, but I feel like so many things happen, like 4 years. It's not like a, how do you say, like 5 years of education program is like not so simple to like share like what has been the things done in the last 5 years. But I wanted to learn more about, like your learnings. What did you learn out of this, and what are the challenges that you faced there? Even as a movement organizer myself, when I was working as a community member with the government, there were many challenges working with the government itself. So if you want to share your learnings and challenges, and then probably something around like what has been like the most success or challenge with working with the government.
Okay, this is difficult
A lot of
because not every
questions.
yes, not
A lot
every
of questions.
government not every government is the same. And one thing governments normally want is to appear in press. They want, yes, I mean, they have to be re-elected in most of the countries of the world. They have to be re-elected. And to be re-elected, you have to show that you are doing something. So normally when they put money on something, they want it to give results, whatever results, but they want it to give results. So for them, it's important. In our case, what we have seen, for them, it's not so important which goals you mark at the start of the year, and because there are some different ways to measure this. It's like, okay, I have these goals and I have fulfilled them like 90%. That's okay for internal referencing, but it's what are they going to sell to the public? What are they going to say? We had really long discussions with the government about something that for them is really important, that is the overall number of articles created. And we always have to convince them that this is not really important, because I can create 1 million articles about bugs. I can be the same one on Wikipedia. I can create 5 million articles about really relevant places. And what I mean really relevant is all the places that are in articles. But we are not focusing on that. We are focusing on quality. So you need to build some key issues to measure this quality. You have, because saying like, okay, yes, or now it's better. That's okay, but it's not like it may be true or not. So what we try to measure and give them is how many students we have been with, how much have been written, like, okay, 1 million words. It doesn't matter actually. Every number is big. And we also try to measure each article, how it has developed. Like if it was like, I don't know, 1,000 bytes and now it's 10,000. So it's 10 times better. So we try to measure, we try to measure every 6 months how this list is growing, which parts are failing. And if they are failing, we try to find a professor in this. And so in the next year, we say, okay, last year we couldn't do this, but this year we are trying to make this. So this is something that for them is important. And we also are measuring quality with audits. This can be done also in media. So we are trying always to sell, the idea we are trying to sell is, okay, 2,000 people this year edited Wikipedia in Basque language. They add, I don't know, X articles, some bytes, and we have more readers, is more interested in this topic. And so we focus more on quality. Why? Because if we don't do this, the discussion will be about number of articles, total number of articles in Wikipedia. And we don't want to center there. We want to center more in a community is writing. And this is always the topic. So what we have learned with the government is give them goals that you actually can cover. I mean, something that you actually know that you can cover. Always make better than your goals. Like, okay, this year I am going to be with 40 schools, because you know that you are going to be with 60. Don't make something that it's not possible to do. And then try to focus on what what are your strengths? And our strength in this case is the community is writing an encyclopedia. So let's focus on that every time. If the press asks, okay, but here you were the I don't know, the 34th Wikipedia, and this year you are saying that they are the 38th. Yes, actually, because there are other Wikipedias that are growing also, but we are not competing with other languages. We are trying to make so that will be the, I don't know, the main thing we have learned. And the second thing is that if you want to make it last in time, you always have to find novelty. You always have to find something that, okay, so we have a 4-year plan, and the first year we are going to finish in this, and then in the next 2 years we are going to start this. So when we finish the 4 years, we are in the main idea of something new. So, okay, then we can do another 4 years or 2 years plan, and hopefully get funded again, and hopefully the next government, I don't know if it will be the same on another party, but that this is important and something to focus on. So I think that will be bad. Every government is different, and it depends on who is funding. So that's quite different.
Indeed, yeah. Galder, I mentioned that will be my last question, but I just have one follow-up question. With when you mentioned about like quality of the articles, not the quantity of the articles, like defining metrics and how we show the metrics to the government, whether it's a quantitative metrics or a qualitative metrics. But I also want to learn, like, have you done evaluation on like what students learn by being part of these programs? Has it ever been like shown to the government or to the press when you talk about your work?
Not actually. We don't have funding for them, and it's something that is interesting. We are trying to make this with some professors in the university that want to research this, like researchers in pedagogy or this kind of thing that want to learn how the students are using it. But it's not systematic. I mean, we are doing it. We are trying to research it with, or some professors are trying to research it, and they are working with us. It will be. We know, but it's not directly. We know that the government asks teachers about some things, and they have contact with some teachers. I don't know who, but they have contacts. And we know by them that these teachers are saying them that the quality overall is better. Because they have said us, like, okay, we have been asking to some teachers, and they say that now quality is quite interesting here. So this is one issue. The other one is that we actually don't know if students are reading, because we can't know who is reading Wikipedia. But we know that every year we are having more visits in these focus articles. Last year was easier because there was a pandemic and students had to learn from their homes. Last year, I said 2020. Okay, 2021 wasn't so. We were going up, and then it was there. And what we know is that these articles are more visited and from Monday to Friday. So that's it. We don't even know who is reading that, but we imagine that it's from Monday to Friday, and only in the elective course of the students. And these articles are focused on something that secondary school students need. We can imagine that students are opening it. If they are reading and learning, this is something that is more difficult to measure. And I think that this is a good topic for research, but maybe we had to start 40 years ago researching this, and we didn't start. So now it will be more difficult. But yes, if someone is willing to make a wise program, this is something that may be interesting to have some focus on some students and measure. I don't know what to measure actually, because well, the articles, some are really great and some are horrible. So I don't know how to measure what they have learned. Something really funny is that when we started Wikipedia for the kids, for 8 to 12, some teachers at high school with the students with 17, 16, 17 years, they say to us that their students are reading Wikipedia because they have the article condensed. It's like they are ultra lazy. So it's like, oh, your article is really long, but I think that Wikipedia must have like the clues, like in 3-4 sentences. So they are reading this, and it's like, okay, it was not intended for that, but it's interesting that they are reading and they are trying to make their assignment like easier. So that's also interesting that, well, they are reading somehow, but well, that is not intended, but it's a feature now.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I hope, like, we will hear more stories or more research on from your work, like how it has impacted on the life of students as well. Galder, it was nice talking to you, and I think,
Yeah.
like, we are meeting almost after 3 years after the education conference. So
Yes.
the one of the organizers of the first education conference speaking here at the AGWiki Live, Galder. It was very, very exciting, and it's always exciting to talk to you and learn from your work as well. Do you want to like
Thanks.
share something to just like wrap up the conversation? Anything?
No,
Maybe just bye.
let's think everyone how to make Wikipedia better for students. We have lots of things to do if we want to be the central place of knowledge, but we have to be ambitious and find new ways of interacting, of reading, of learning, and I think that Wikipedia belongs to education more than any other sector. So let's do that. I don't know if this is a good thing, but I think let's we are doing it, and I'm really happy to be here with you, but also to learn from other places in the world that are doing great ideas. And one of the great things of Wikipedia is that we can copy each other. So if someone is making a great idea, I don't know, in Mozambique, just copy it because it's great, and you can do it also in your country. So that's it. Happy to see you again, and hope to have you in another in another place sometime.
Yeah, hope for that. Thanks, Galder.
Okay.